The Crucial 30.
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 It's the Crucial 30.
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 Hello, 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 world. We come to you again tonight with the Crucial 30, brought to you by The Narrative Shift. Guys, we are determined to change one mind at a time. And right now, we know that we are in a very crucial time in America. In less than 2 weeks, all will go out and cast your ballots in the polls if you haven't already done so. However, tonight, we have a special presentation by many panelists that are going to speak to the world around the topic of why the election is so important from a financial standpoint. You all, finances are integrated in everything that we do. Its finances are integrated into our education systems, into our healthcare, into our day-to-day being. And so right now we are going to have our panelists come up one by one and discuss who they are and what they will bring to this crucial conversation. Again, we are The Narrative Shift, and this is the Crucial 30. Up first, we're going to do ladies first. So there is a lady by the name of Trina Newby. I'm going to bring up Trina just to talk about what she does, who she represents, and a little bit about herself. Hello, Trina. How are you?
Hello, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Trina Newby. I am the founder of womenaboutbiz.net, and we help women to start and grow their own business. I'm also a financial advocate. I have been for many years helping a lot of people to improve their personal credit score, their business credit score. And so often people get turned down for mortgages, for loans, for business loans and funding because of their personal credit. And so I really advocate for people to understand that more.
Yes, definitely. And you see womenaboutbiz.net.
Yes.
Guys, you're going to have to check it out. We will also have all of her information on our website, all of our partners' information, just in case you want to get involved in her business as well. And so, Trina, I'm going to put you backstage. I can't wait to hear what you have
wonderful.
to say. Definitely. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Joey Martin. Joey Martin, who also has great affiliations with Savannah State University way back in the day. But Joey, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Chelsea, first, let me say thank you for having me tonight. I really appreciate the invite. Proud SSU Tiger, and I am an investment advisor representative, independent investment advisor representative. I'm with GWN, which is a company out of Palm Beach, Florida. And what I do is I help my clients figure out where they are financially, help them put together a plan to achieve their financial goals, whether that may be retirement planning, college education planning, or just wealth building. And then I help them implement strategies to help them achieve those goals.
No, definitely. Guys, Joey Martin here, and the thing that struck me, the one word that stood out is goals. Guys, there's so many times that we just kind of go throughout life without setting up a plan. And so again, we have someone on here that is talking from a standpoint of how do we set up our lives for success. And so thank you so much, Joey, for being on here. And I'm going to put you backstage. But again, I just look forward to getting in a little bit deeper with the conversation with you.
Okay. Glad to be here.
Last but not least, we have Joe Johnson. Hello, Joe Johnson. How are you?
Well, I'm now better since I've heard your voice and seen you. So happy to be here today. Thank you.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. I'm located in Southern California, and I'm a proud graduate of HBCU, the real Lincoln University in Missouri. There happens to be another one in Delaware. I want to say that. And I have experience and have been in the military, have experience in major corporations, been in my own business for 32 years. My focus is around personal and organizational effectiveness, with particular focus on how do we get on the journey toward abundance. And so the tagline is vision, integration, abundance. Determine the end in mind, integrate everything around it, and that will give you the best chance for abundance. And so that's my passion, and I've been in my own business for 32 years.
I love it. I love it. Guys, integration is key to abundance. Two key words that you need to remember tonight. And I know Joe is going to even go deeper into that conversation as we continue. And then shout out to Lincoln University, all the Lincoln University grads, HBCU grads. If you are an HBCU grad right now, hats off to you. We appreciate you just sticking into the fight and making sure that our universities stay engaged and on top. So thank you so much, Joe. I'm going to bring all of our panelists back up, and I hope you guys are ready, because we are about to dive into some crucial conversations around a financial standpoint and as it relates to the election. So guys, this is your first question. Why is the election so crucial from a financial well-being of American voters?
So I guess I'll jump in. My grandmother always used to say, forget the old golden rule. This is the golden rule I want you to remember. He who controls the goal makes the rules. Right? And so we're talking about, and there are different schools of thought out there about how effective the president is with regards to, how your personal bank account is affected. And there are really two schools of thought. There are the Keynesians who believe that, government should, get in there and adjust, manipulate the tax that you eventually pay, and or, spur on, government spending to increase jobs and put more money out in the economy so that more people can have more money in their pocket. And then, of course, they're the supply side, or the people who believe that big business is going to be our savior. And so depending on who you elect, is going to take one or the other position. And one position is good for poor people and the other is not. And the last thing I'd like to say, so I don't hog the time, is that, if right now there's a big touting of how well the stock market is doing. If you're not participating in the stock market, you're not benefiting from all of this. So who we elect, makes a huge difference, because they control the purse string, they control how much we pay in taxes, they control government spending, and what organizational programs are funded and not funded.
I want to chime in and say, I think also from a business perspective for financial well-being, there's a lot hinged on funding. There is a lot of untapped dollars, first of all, for minority-owned businesses that are just not being realized. There are taxes that we have to be concerned about from both sides of the political party, regardless of who it is, the taxes and how they are structured, and how business individuals are able to take various deductions. Sometimes deductions get taken away. Sometimes percentages go up as far as the amount of from your gross profit. And so that really has a huge impact. But I also want to say that from a woman's perspective, it has a huge impact, because both sides talk about pro-choice and choice, and there's a lot of funding being given to contraceptives, to a lot of things that contribute to the health of women, not just from a choice pro-choice matter, but just women are able to go to certain nonprofit organizations and be able to get mammograms and health care and pap smears and all of those things that can help to maintain and prolong the life of women. And that can be greatly impact regardless of what side it is, you know? And so that's something that can really impact the well-being.
Thanks for Joey and Trina. What I want to add to this is the fact that I have one of my slides in the back here. It says, everything is whole. We must come to see how it is. Everything is whole. And one of the things that we often haven't connected is the fact that this political system and how it affects us at every level, And so this election is important, you know, at the presidency, but at the same time, it's important at the city council level, at the sheriff level, at the city manager level, those who making decisions that directly affect our lives on a daily basis. So I think one of the things, some people are overwhelmed by the things that are in the media. Well, one of the things that I think we have a better chance to do is to see more of what goes on and be able to learn and connect those dots. So one of the, some people overwhelmed by the media, but it also is a great learning tool. And our learning is about how is it all connected? And so, and if I have a vision for what I want to do, what I need to understand is how will this election play into that? And one thing we often do is focus on what's away from us, you know, like the presidency, for example. But the key is that sometimes it's right next to us. And so I think this election and this whole election, top to bottom, is a very important for any ambitions that we have, any challenges that we have. So I think it's and I'm glad that it's publicized and seems like more of us involved. And I'm hoping that increases every year. Over.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I also want to just quickly add that, you know, a lot of people are just feeling unstable at this time. I think that's a huge word that expresses what everybody's feeling. And so as a business coach and consultant, what I'm finding is one or the other. Either you have individuals who are thriving literally during the pandemic and what's going on, even during, you know, a question mark on the election and people voting properly and that type of thing. But then you have some people that have frozen. They are dysfunctional. They don't know that it has put fear in them, and they have lost their job, you know, and so many things are going on. They are frantic. And then you even have parents who, for the first time, are really getting to know their kids on a full-time basis because they're at home with them. And they are dealing with stress and being overwhelmed because they have not had to deal with that kind of structure needed during the day, all day, every day with their kids. So much has changed, you know, and I think with the election coming on top of all of that, it can give that feeling of overwhelmness in our country.
Chelsea, I'd like to co-sign on something that Joe said and also something that Trina said. First of all, with regards to what Joe said, this isn't just an election for the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. If we have learned nothing, is that we are supposed to have a government system of checks and balances, right? So, but as you can see, that if two branches of the government aligns, then they can, you know, pretty much manipulate the system and make decisions at will. So, you know, I would, you know, submit to you that the Senate or the Congress is probably more powerful or more important than who we have in the White House, because every 4 years we have the opportunity to remove the person from the White House. But we've had senators who've been in place for as long as I can remember, for a very long time. So I co-sign with what Joe has to say, that, yeah, we don't just focus on the president, focus mm-hmm. on the other candidates that are on the ballot. In regards to what Trina said, I'm sitting here shaking my head going, you know what? We talk about, well, why does one candidate say, hey, listen, I'm a blue collar guy, I can relate to you. The reality is, Trina, if I have never been in a position where I'm worried about whether or not my house is going to be foreclosed, I teach my clients to have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. Well, it's been more than 6 months since we've had this pandemic, and they've been living off of, they've done everything that we told them to do, but still here they are in an economic crisis. And if you have never been there in your life, you're susceptible to pointing at somebody and saying, hey, listen, you pull yourself up by your bootstrap. I did it. And why can't you do it too? The reality is we didn't all start at the same place. We didn't have the same opportunities in the beginning. And so now that's really being highlighted right now as a result of this COVID. And we've got to understand that part of this decision has to be putting somebody in office or electing somebody who can relate to, hey, you know what? I didn't start with anything. I'm working hard every day, and it's not my fault that I'm where I am right now.
Yes, definitely. And just piggybacking off of just all of what you all said, it's so crucial and from every single level, from every single aspect, from healthcare to being a parent, to being a business owner, to even your finances and your savings. And so that kind of takes us into just the next topic of, we're just in the middle of a pandemic. There's just this significant shift and pivot that all of us have had to make, with this unpredictable climate and the financial landscape of having to be restored. What would you like to see on the agenda when it comes down to just our elective officials?
Well, I'll go ahead and go first on this one, and I'm going to try. I have a lot of opinions. I'm very opinionated, but I'm going to stick to the business side of what I know. And I think one of the things that needs to happen is that a lot of people, of course, have not been in the know about so much financially. That's one problem right there. Even in our public school system, children are not taught to even know how to balance a checkbook. I mean, you can go to a McDonald's, right? Something as simple as a McDonald's, and you will notice that the kids can't count the change back to you if the cash register breaks down. Now, I'm not saying that's every child, but I've noticed that that's an issue. I've noticed how that's happening. I think what needs to be on the agenda is really a strong financial literacy program integrated in the educational systems across the board within the communities, and especially in the urban communities. I think that is so very, very important. The next thing is, I think, is diversification. Even if you work a 9-to-5 job, you cannot put all of your eggs in that one basket. You cannot. We are living in uncertain times, challenging times. And so therefore, you have to step outside of your comfort zone, and you have to look at how you're going to diversify and tap into your own talent to create a side hustle, a gig, a business, something that is going to help you bring in more revenue. And I think this should be taught to our teenagers as well. There are a lot of teenagers during the pandemic that have just kind of been idling by. But you have so many different things that are needed, from grass cutting to painting to everything. And I think we need to get back sometimes to the basics of the cottage industry, which really was what helped to really find the industry, the corporate industry in the first place. People were in the cottage industry first, working from their homes, exchanging, sharing. And I think that's something that we need to take a look at, right? It's time for us to diversify. And I think it's time also for us as a society overall nationally to put equality on the table for real. We really need to do that.
Let me jump in. I think I want to speak a bit about the stress that people are under. people are emotionally collapsing under the unbelievable stress that's going on. And so fear is a major part of what is in our culture. And fear is a major part of life in some ways. Said we often either are driven by fear or we're inspired by love. And so therefore, I talked about this idea of everything being whole, and begin to understand and educate ourselves about how everything is connected. And then this idea of having a vision, somewhere I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and be inspired by that, as opposed to the thing that surround us. Another thing I focus on is the idea that in every crisis, there is an equal to, there's danger, but there's an equal to or even better opportunity. But if you're not aware of how everything is connected, you're not likely to find that opportunity. And so if you're not knowledgeable about how it works, you are overwhelmed by the danger. And so my encouragement again is to, in the middle of this, learn more, and then also aim higher and find how there are parts that will can help you. You mentioned, Trina, the idea of cutting yards and doing all the things that people don't. And it's not everybody walking by your house to ask you to do these days. But the key to business, say find a need and fill it. And there are a lot of needs. There's a lot of needs. Let me say over to somewhere.
Yeah, I'll add that and this might not be very popular, but I'm gonna say it anyway. We live in a capitalistic society, right? And we're the most marketed to society on the face of the earth. And a lot of us have fallen for the okie doke. We've fallen for the lie that if we're not going out on a date night every week, then our husband, our spouse is cheap, or they're not romantic enough, or they don't love us enough. That's a marketing. Date night is a marketing term, right? It was designed to bring us out into the restaurants and spend more money. There's nothing wrong with taking your spouse on a date night. What I see a problem with is if you don't count the costs first. If you're not consulting your budget, if you're not saying, okay, we bring X dollars in, let's identify what our seed is. Figure out what your seed is in your income. Your seed is going to plant that tree that you're going to need to shade under later. And if you're eating your seed, when the storm comes, you're not going to have any shade. So we have to be accountable ourselves and stop eating our seed.
Yes, definitely. I mean, just powerful, powerful words. Because when I think about the seed, and when I think about just the climate that we're in, Joe, and then just thinking about just how everything is just connected. You all, like, even this conversation, I'm looking at 4 squares, but everything that you're saying is integrated and connected. And we're realizing that, especially in 2020, that there's so many nuances that go in to our well-being. There's so many nuances that are just part of just life in general. And so just understanding the foundation of finances, understanding where we've been and where we're going. And Joey, I know that you have to jump off and everything. Shout out to your daughter that is playing volleyball, and I love it. I love it. But just thinking about just the budget defects and the national debt, I would love to get your opinion really quickly on just the economy and it's being ignored. Our debts are being ignored. And so just how can voters prepare from a financial crisis before, during, and after the election?
Well, the reality is right now people are already in trouble, and you can't go back. You can't go back and do what you didn't do in order to prepare for this, but you can learn from it, and it's important to sit down and go, okay, I make X number of dollars. I have to pay taxes. They take some deductions out of my paycheck, and then I bring X dollars home. The paradigm shift that needs to happen is, come hell or high water, I'm going to save 10%, 15%, whatever, and then I'm going to spend the rest. And I've through all my readings, I've learned that the difference between rich people or people with money and people who don't have money is that simple paradigm shift in that rich people identify what they're going to save first and they spend the rest. And poor people, people who don't hold on to money, spend their money and realize, oh, you know what? I don't have anything to save, or I can't hold on to anything. And now before people come at me, I know there are people who are not making a living wage, and I understand that everybody's not in a position to save. But at the same token, there are a lot of us who are capable, who have the income and can save. And if we're honest with ourselves, when you look at the end of the month, you're spending all your money living paycheck to paycheck, trying to live a lifestyle that's represented on TV that none of us can afford to maintain.
Wow. I think what Joey said really hit the nail on the head right there, because all the pandemic has really done is bring to the surface the poor habits financially of what's been going on across the country, across the races. It doesn't matter what race you are, you know, and people have not been prepared, you know, and that's something that we definitely have to improve on. Now, I will say this, though. I mentioned earlier that there are those that are thriving during the pandemic and will thrive regardless of what's going on in the election. Because number one, they have the belief in themselves. Number two, they are prepared. They have educated themselves on what they need to do. And the third thing is that they understand the power of the cash flow. You know, my grandmother told me numbers will never lie to you. And that just resonates in my mind all of the time because it's so true. Just by understanding the power of numbers and sitting down on a cash flow spreadsheet and determining how much money you want to make every year and how is that going to happen and how many customers do you need in order for that to happen, you can literally create your blueprint and then begin to understand, you know, other things that you may not know about, like marketing and what have you. But Joey has really said some things and pointed out about marketing and propaganda and the advertisers. And it's very, very true. I was just saying to someone the other day that it's amazing at how a lot of people will go out and buy a designer purse or designer shoes or $400 pair of tennis shoes, you know, but they are not interested in investing in themselves or improving their personal development. And so all of this stuff is coming up to the surface now. So there are a lot of solutions out there, but for those who are truly ready to step outside of the fear box and make it happen.
Chelsea, I've got to go pick my daughter up. I just want to say thank you very much for including me on this. The last thing before I go is, you know, one of my old bosses in the Marine Corps, I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps. I was a helicopter pilot. And the most profound thing that I think any one of my bosses ever told me is do not become a dinosaur. Fight against becoming a dinosaur. What's happened to a lot of people in this COVID situation is they've realized that they were being dinosaurs and it's caught up to them.
Yes,
right? The middle class is disappearing. They're not going up to the rich, they're becoming poor. You know, I think Amazon stock year to date has increased by 70%, 70%. Okay. Talking about their opportunities in this COVID situation, the telemedicine industry, they've seen their portfolios or their business value go up 130% year to date. Right. So there are opportunities, but if you're not positioned to take advantage of those opportunities, you're going to go the way of the dinosaurs. I'm sorry, I gotta go. This was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. And just on that tip, while, you know, with Joey, you know, leaving out and everything, and just going back to something that you said, Joe, earlier, as far as just, you know, taking the opportunity You know, even in the midst of crisis, truly taking the opportunity. World, I must say that the narrative shift was founded in 2021, strategically incorporated on Juneteenth in the middle of a pandemic. So if you take the step out there on faith and just jump, then there, you know, there's lands and you're not going to sink, is what I'm trying to say. So could you go a little bit deeper in just that philosophy and how impactful that could be?
Yes. I think it's, I mean, this key of opportunity, finding opportunity in the crisis. Just about every, you know, I think Amazon, Google, Apple, they all started in the middle of a financial crisis, you know. And so what happens is that opportunity illuminates, just like the narrative shift. In the middle of all of this crisis, what pops up is there's a unique opportunity that fits me, And so, and that's really an important thing. So now is the time actually to lean in, learn. I think I saw someone typed up, I think his name was Terrell, about this is a great time to further educate ourselves, learn how everything is connected. All right. But it really is. And education is a big part of it. Everything we can learn about that we didn't know. Since all of these things are now broken and falling apart, that means it's more opportunity to learn about how did it really work. A lot of us didn't know that, you know. And so the crisis at the top is opened up enormous opportunity. And so we have to be ready. Now, again, I understand we're in a place of fear, but the fear, we have to move to a point of educating ourselves out of the fear, build new relationships, find out new information, lean in the middle of this fear. And one of the things I often say is that the money problem, it's never a money problem, it's an idea problem. You see, in a world that has deep hunger, there's always something that's needed. What we need to find out is what is needed and what are my skills that can add value to what is needed. So it's an idea problem. And so but if we are broken down with fear, we won't find it. So we have to, and education is a key, you know. Fear was a false education appearing real at fear. So we're really, if we educate ourselves, if we make new relationships, you know, get new advice, all of those things are so important now, so that we can then take action. But it's hard to take action down in the hole. Over to you.
Yeah, I agree. That fear is something else. It really is. And a lot of people, like I said before, a lot of people are allowing it to really put them in a state of paralysis mentally. And it's time to get out, and we need to allow our fears to drive us to the polls, you know, and we really need to start not just voting on what everybody else is saying and not just on the popular vote. That's something I see a lot going on. You know, people saying, well, who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for? People really need to start reading and looking at the candidates on both sides and looking at how are they impacting your community? Because that's really on a fundamental level, your community. You have people going back and impacting your community from the White House. How are they impacting your community, and what are they doing? And then looking at the candidates and making sure that they are representing something that you would like to see positively happen in your community. You know, there's a lot of people on the bandwagon about a lot of things. You know, I'm sure everybody's noticing that there's so much anger going on with the Black Lives Matter, with, you know, other issues happening. But at the end of the day, this is a repeated pattern that I see of everybody always reacting but never being proactive, because from the basics of choosing the candidates, it starts right there. Even in the police departments, right? It starts right there. So we need to move past the fear and let it drive you to the poll.
Yeah,
No,
I think that's this. You you want to go ahead, Chelsea? Okay. I think that this fear thing is really something that we don't understand. You know, as I said, we're either driven by fear, two things in life, or we're inspired by a love, the spirit of love. And I think that the key thing is fear is at the foundation of anger. Fear is at the foundation of hate. It all starts in fear. And so ultimately, what we can't do is fall in the ditch with the fear mongers. We can't fall in the ditch with fear mongers. But there's so much that happens. Innovation. Black Lives Matter is an innovation in my mind. It's the next generation of how we may think. And so I think it's a great time, but it's hard to see. But there's more information out. There's more disruption, which means we can find things that relate to us more so. There's more education available online or wherever. There's more ways to form relationships. And so therefore, getting involved in that and understanding how everything is connected is going to be the key. It's going to be a spirit of opportunity, a spirit of thinking positively, a thing of, oh, that may be something I can do. Over to you.
No, definitely. And I just think that, like you're saying, fear can either be a way to plant a seed of new beginnings, or fear can be something that becomes, I'm from Georgia, so that becomes that red clay that you can't put anything in. And so what are you going to allow your fear to do? Are you going to grow something? And even when it is Georgia clay, we still see seeds growing. And so even when things look bad, even when things feel bad, how are we going to integrate our new ideas, our new purpose, our new vision in the middle of crisis, just like Trina and Joe and even Joey started to talk about? And so, finances overall is just a huge part of life, but it's not the only aspect of life. Just like you all have spoken about throughout, this evening. But with our current, situation, what advice could you provide? Even if you're talking to the other fellow business owners out there, or the fellow, people that want to inspire to do something new, how does someone juggle responsibility and being able to balance through all of the things that are going on throughout life?
Well, I think Joe had mentioned vision. And I really liked to hear that, Joe. I liked you saying that because I learned late about vision. I did. And I always ask the question, well, why is it that in high school I didn't learn about vision and about setting goals and about all of the things mentally? I didn't know that there is an inert power that lives within us that allows us to truly manifest things in our lives, and that I have the power to do all of these things. And I didn't know that living life on the surface really perpetuates us giving up that power to a lot of different places, people, and things, right? And so I think it really does have to start with vision for each and every individual. Not what someone else is saying, not mocking what someone else is doing, not patterning yourself after somebody else. But you must be clear on your vision of what you want to experience in life, and let nobody tell you that vision is something that you plan 10 years from now, because a vision can be in 1 hour. It can be the next week. It can be within 30 days. Your vision, no one can take your vision and define it for you. And so I wanted to say that. And I know Joe's going to say something profound about it, because it is very key. It is really, really key.
Right. Well, the Bible says that where there's no vision, the people perish. We're reminded of that. And I do think this is the key, because, our success we're talking about our success as a group, or as African Americans, or as HBCU people, or whatever the case may be. And but the key point here is that each one of us were put here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so the path, what we're trying to do, when I talk about vision, integration, abundance, the key is, how do we find that purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be given to us. It is inside of us. And what we have to do is figure out how to get it out. And sometimes crisis will shock us into it, which is to start thinking differently. The fear may do that. Fear of an election, a fear of something, a loss of life. All of those things are elements that are key.
Mm-hmm.
But our life, we all have a purpose, and what we need to do is figure out how our experience, our background, the good and the negative of our background is we need to understand what that is. Mm-hmm. And then we need to understand what it is that that the world hungers for. Mm-hmm. See, the world is in need. We're talking about this crisis. That means there's so many needs out there. Mm-hmm. So it's the integration of our background, our experiences, our EQ, our IQ, all of those things. And then the other things is, what do we feel deeply passionate about? Mm-hmm. So the integration of our deep passion and our background and experience and the world's deep hunger is where your purpose is. And our purpose is here for others. Goals are for ourselves, purpose are for others. And if each one of us become more purpose driven, that means we're going to be adding to the situation. We're going to be helping others where we can. Somebody else is going to be helping us with their purpose, and so forth. So I've talked a little bit too much. I'll stop.
No, definitely. I just appreciate. What were you saying, Joe?
I was going to just say, and all of this, we talked about finances. All of this is understanding. This will actually enable you to better make use of your resources, mm-hmm. of how to get them and how to keep them, and how to grow them.
Yeah. Exactly. And Chelsea, I just wanted to add that I think also, how can a person balance? Because balance doesn't necessarily mean even. It means mm-hmm. doing what's best for you so that you can have clarity. Mm-hmm. And so another thing, though, I think everybody needs to do is to educate yourself and understand the foundation of how this country was built, and to understand the type of economy we live in. United States is a credit-driven economy. We need to understand that. That's really, really important, because it's directly tied to your credit score. It's directly tied to how you purchase your home. It's directly tied to how you book a hotel room. Everything is credit driven. And so there is no sense in you saying, well, I'm a cash person. Well, yes, you are. But are you aware that you can't necessarily go to a 4-star, 5-star hotel and pay cash at the counter? Are you aware of that? Because we are a credit driven industry. So you need to get in the know about your personal credit, about business credit. You need to understand how that is going to impact you. And you need to know how to play the game. Nobody plays a game. Nobody is professionally playing any sports is going to play the game and not know and not study it. A lot of people don't know that outside of the football games and the basketball games and the different types of sports that go on, the athletes are studying, they are practicing, they are paying attention so that they can win. And so in order for you to win, get up under the surface of everyday life and really start educating yourself, get in the know. I personally think that all families should have like an education night where they get together and they pick a topic on something that most of the family didn't even know about. And they educate one another. And I think that empowerment will really make some differences in people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely, definitely, definitely. And Joe, I saw you do like this. So when you were talking about just the balance and everything and your purpose, what
Right.
what did you do like this for? I have to pull that out of you real quick before we leave.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of the things that I just did a webinar on is about, you know, how are you handling your work-life balance in a chaos? All right. But my premise was this: you cannot balance your life between work and life, because balance is like a seesaw. One is on one end, one on the other. And when one is up, the other one is down. So if you start out thinking you have to balance them, you missed the point. What you have to do, we have to integrate our life.
Yes.
Remember,
Yeah.
vision, integration, abundance. We have to integrate it. We have to see an end in mind that's integrated and then systematically work toward it. But if we can't see the integration, if we can't see a vision of integration, then we'll keep struggling. And we're thinking there's other things working against us, but it really is how we think about it.
Yes. Yes.
Because everything is whole. We just have to see how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I know we're at time, but I just want to give you all just the floor, before we leave out, just to really hone in on why is it important to vote? Just in your last words, you all have lived life, you've had businesses, you've fallen, you've gotten back up. But what can you tell the world right now of the reason why, from your perspective, of why they should cast their vote?
I think simply because you are a human being. You are someone. You count in this world. The space that you hold in this world, it counts. And if you vote for no one else, vote for yourself because you believe in you. And when you believe in you, you're going to spread that to others around the nation. It can spread from person to person. So I want to say, take off your shoes of fear, put on your shoes of courage, and step beyond your comfort zone, because that's where life really is. And vote. Get up and vote.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, just to add to that, someone put up here, vote for you. And I think that's a great way to think of it. One of the things I talk about, involvement creates commitment. If you vote, you're more involved. Just a simple act of voting. You're saying that, okay, I'm a part of this system. And I believe that once you connect to the system, then you'll feel more like learning about it, expecting benefit from it, all of those things. But you need to be involved, and involvement creates commitment. No involvement, no commitment. And so therefore, it's too many of us not involved, therefore not committed. And so therefore, if we want to move from fear and move to love and opportunity and a purpose for life, it starts with some commitment. And I believe that participation in the bigger picture, everything is whole. A vote is a statement of I care and I'm going to learn more, and so forth and so on. And just notice how we have improved our lot as Black people the more we vote. Down through time. I thought John Lewis's life that flashed in front of us before he passed on was just a great education, a reminder to just keep working. At 12 years old, he wrote Martin Luther King. All right. He was involved, but and he just systematically inspired millions. All right. And so the key thing, he got involved. He had a more meaningful life, no doubt about it. He had an abundant life, and so I believe voting is very, very important. I think it's a way to get out of your fear. See, not voting is we kind of think of it as a positive action. It's a negative action. It's fear. I fear that it don't matter, so it won't work, all of those things. But those are about fear.
Yeah.
All right. And if we can't get out of fear, we can't be optimistic about the future and therefore live more effectively in the present.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you all so much for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this in-depth conversation. World, you have heard not just about finances, but about life. You have to have balance. And sometimes that balance is not going to be even. You have to make sure that you are educating yourself. Most importantly, you know, I'm in education. I'm going to throw this out there. That was an amazing idea about having family education nights, guys, because we have to make sure that we are passing on the torch to the next generation.
Yes, yes.
And so, yes, John Lewis, you know, rest in peace. And he set out to change the world. And here at the Narrative Shift, we are going to do the same. And we will not stop until we have one mind at a time, and one more mind, and another mind, and another mind, until we impact the world. Guys, this is just one campaign. This is just 30 days. We have so much more stuff in store, from panelists across the nation throughout the year, to mental health, to financial stability, to protection, and most importantly, dear to my heart, education. And so as you are along in this journey, we're going to step out there on faith and without fear. And so with that said, we just thank you for tuning in tonight. Now, I will have to say that, guess what? This was the pregame show for the debate that is coming on soon. So guys, I need you to go ahead and go into your living rooms, get your popcorn ready, do whatever you need to do, but you need to tune in to this debate, because that's part of that research and that's part of that education. And most importantly, that's a part of your involvement.
Yes.
So as you know,
Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your vision. I think that that's an example of so many people can do, and I believe it. So your purposeful life somehow involved me, and that's how it works. And so I'm inspired by that. It's a pleasure to participate, to be asked to participate, and it's a pleasure meeting you, Trina.
You too, Joe.
Definitely. And so, guys, we will tune in again. Guys, tomorrow we are going to pass the torch. Tomorrow you will see a special presentation of some elders talking about why it is important to vote. Saturday, we have something special in place for a major poet that has written something directly for Narrative Shift. And then next Tuesday, we will tune in live with Gen Z, guys. We are talking to the young people, because guess what? Our college students and our Gen Z generation matters. And so we are going to get their voice and give them a platform. So until next Tuesday, we are the Narrative Shift, and this is the Crucial 30, guys. Get on over to the debate.
It's the Crucial 30. Well, I know you can do it.
Crucial 30 campaign. Check it out. Get involved.